Hello friends, welcome to another tutorial from Home Automation DIY. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to automate your water pump or motor. With this automation, there are three things that we are going to do. One, automatically turn off the motor when the water in the tank reaches a certain level, say 80% of the tank. Two, if the water level does not reach 80% or a set level in a single run, but it has reached a certain period of time, say like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, it'll turn off the motor. 3. Between each motor runs, it'll set a given interval. That is, say your tank is not full and the motor has run for 15 minutes. It needs to take a rest, say 2 hours or 3 hours before it starts off again for the next run. Alright, so that's what we are trying to automate here, and let's see what we need. For this automation, you'll need a Sonoff TH16 or a Sonoff POW Wi-Fi switch. This is a higher power rated Sonoff. Given that we are using this for motor, we would need a higher power. We'll use a US 100 ultrasonic sensor. Now this is different from the normal SR04 or SR05 sensor, because unlike the SR05 sensor, the US 100 sensor uses 3.3 volt, and given that Sonoff pins are 3.3 volt rated, we would use the US 100 sensor. You'd also need a long cable wire to connect the ultrasonic sensor, which is fitted on top of the water tank, to the Sonoff, which will be placed near the motor. Now this is a regular LAN wire, however the ends of it have been modified into this DuPont pin. Now the regular LAN wire comes with the 8 wire core. Here we use just 4 wires, and the connectors are provided at the end of it. So if you can get this from our store, it'll be available for the length that you need with these connectors attached. Alright, so let's get started. If you're doing the Sonoff code upload for the very first time, I will strongly recommend that you go through this tutorial, which is linked here in the step 1. Now this tutorial will help you understand how to set up an Arduino IDE and upload code to Sonoff. Once you have done that, just copy the Arduino code from the blog post and paste it to your blank sketch of an Arduino IDE. Now there are a few things to be noted in this sketch, and which needs your input depending on the size of your tank. Now the tank empty. So here remember that we are going to place the sensor at the very top of the tank facing down. So the tank empty here will be the distance between the sensor and the top level of the water, if any, when the tank is empty. Here in my case it's 140 centimeters, so I have put that. Now tank full is, again, there will be probably an overflow pipe in the tank, and when the water reaches the overflow pipe, the distance between the sensor and the level of water is what is to be indicated here. Again, in my case it's 57 centimeters. Now the cutoff level is just the capacity in percentage that you want the tank to be full all the time. So I want the tank to be 75% full all the time, and if it reaches above 75%, it will just cut off the motor. Now keep running is the number of minutes that you want the motor to be on during a single run. So here I want to be on for 15 minutes. Idle minutes is the number of minutes that you want the motor to be idle between each run. So For me, once the motor is run for 15 minutes, I want it to be in rest for 3 hours. So that's how I put 180 minutes. There's also a library here. Again, I have given the link to this library here in the blog post. And there is also a detailed blog post on how to install an Arduino library. So if you have not installed this library before, you need to install this. Once you have done that, you can click on verify to compile the code. Okay, now that the code has been compiled, we can now put the Sonoff in the flash mode and upload the code. Okay, the Sonoff TH16 or Sonoff POW that we use for this automation looks slightly different from the Sonoff Basic that we use regularly, but the concept remains the same. To put this into flash mode, first you'll have to remove the casing. Gently press down the casing like this a little bit, and then wedge a screwdriver or a tester to open it. Now once you have opened it, you can see the PCB. So to upload the code, you'll have these pin headers. Now these pin headers, I have soldered it to the Sonoff. The regular Sonoff POW or TH16 that you buy from the market may not have this pin headers. If that be the case, you'll have to solder this yourself. But if you buy it from our store, we already sell it after soldering the pin headers, so that it will be a lot easier for you. Now this is the reset button. Just like how we hold down the reset button during the upload, we need to do the same. Now the USB to TTL adapter, we can just insert it into the pin headers. Once connected, hold down the reset button and plug in the TTL adapter into your system. Once you're plugged in, just release the reset button, and now the Sonoff will be in flash mode. To upload the code, click on the upload button. As usual, you can see the progress going in the progress status bar. Okay, now you can see that it has completed the upload. You can remove the Sonoff from the system and connect it together. Now that we have uploaded the code to the Sonoff, it's time to connect the Sonoff with the ultrasonic sensor. Now remember that the ultrasonic sensor needs to go in at the top of the tank, and the Sonoff will most likely reside near to the motor. So we need a long cable. Right now we are using a modified LAN wire. So this is a regular LAN wire cable that we have, and we have just modified the LAN wire cable's ends so that the 4 pins are taken out through the 4 wires, and which we can connect to the Sonoff and to the sensor. So here we will connect the Sonoff first. So these pins or the pin headers are already soldered in the Sonoff that is available in our store. But if you are buying the TH16 from the market, you may have to solder those pins separately. Okay, now we have connected the cable to the Sonoff. Just a thing to note here, that when you're connecting, say for example here we have connected the brown wire to the VCC as marked in the Sonoff. Just ensure that you do the same thing with the other end, like the brown wire side goes into the VCC here in the US 100 sensor. Okay, so this needs to be connected at the top of the tank facing down into the water. Okay, so now that, and once we have connected that, we can put in back the casing so that it closes in. With the wire connected, now it's time to put back the casing. You can take the wire out through the same downward side. Just press it gently to snap back the Sonoff. Alright, so now we are ready to connect the Sonoff in near the motor. Now the power cables are all marked here. What is the input line voltage needs to go into this wire and taken out to the end of the wire, and same with neutral. So these are all marked here, so we'll just see how we can install this in a real life wiring. Okay, so as you can see here, here is my water tank, and I've glued the sensor right on the lid of the water tank and just connected the long cable to the sensor. And once I close the lid, the sensor will be pointing directly at the water level so that it can sense the distance between the sensor until the level of the water. Okay, so here is the motor that I have, and I can see that the power to the motor comes through this main wires. So what I'm planning to do is, I'm planning to remove these insulation tapes, connect that to the Sonoff, and then take the output from the Sonoff to the motor. Let's do that. Okay, so I wired up the Sonoff. The input to the Sonoff comes through this, the face wire comes here as the input, and it's taken out to the motor through this wire. The markings are all clearly printed over here in the Sonoff itself, so you can just wire it accordingly. The neutral goes to the far end through the input, and to the motor it goes through this particular connector. You can just press these connector pins and then insert the wire to connect these wires into the Sonoff. The cable that that comes from the sensor goes through here and gets connected to the Sonoff. Alright, so that should be it. And now when we switch on the power, after 5 seconds the motor will start. It will run for 15 minutes as we had set, and at the end of 15 minutes, if the water is still not full, it will stop for about 3 hours again, which can be set, and post 3 hours it will once again start the motor for another set of 15 minutes. At any point of time, if the water gets full, it will cut off the motor. Hope you have enjoyed the automation. See you next time.